Alright, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This video, I'm looking at the NFL Week 17 Prizepicks plays for tomorrow. We have a couple weeks left of the regular season. So we're at the point of the year where you have a good amount of teams eliminated. You still have a bunch that are in contention, with the extra wild card. However, the teams that just got eliminated maybe last week, that were playing all the guys up to this point, could see them start to rest some other guys a little bit, maybe take it easy on them. So for that reason, I'm going to be a little bit hesitant to take a ton of props on teams, at least overs. You can take some unders. But on teams like maybe the Browns, who got eliminated last week, don't like anybody on the Raiders with them benching Derek Carr for the final 2 games. So just stuff like that. I'm going to be focusing on some games that still have some meaning, teams that have meaning, and just guys that I like for the day. So, as always, if you enjoy the videos, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out the links down below in the description. Check out the website if you want to join for DraftKings or FanDuel. And let's get started. So, we're going to be starting with you have a ton of different boards to pick from, but we're going to start with 2 from the passing attempts projection. The first one that we are taking is the over 41.5 pass attempts for Tom Brady. It is a very important game against the Panthers. Bucks needed to win last week just so at least they have a 1-game lead over the Panthers, and Tom Brady was able to get it done, in the fourth quarter with under 10 minutes left. Nice comeback there. They love to throw the ball. Tom Brady last week, they had no offensive line protection. However, it was just a ton of short passes. Tom Brady was getting it out, under 3 seconds, under 2 seconds at times. And now it's a matchup that's the Panthers still have a talent on defense, but if you look at their passing numbers, their pass defense and rush defense, they are still bottom half of the league. However, Tom Brady, if you just look at his game log, they will let him throw a ton. He's hit in the last 5 games, and some of these well over 50, a couple of those. He missed it against Seattle in the game before on November 13th. And then he had 58 pass attempts against the Rams, 44 against the Ravens. Before that, he had 49 earlier in the October meeting against the Panthers. He missed it against Pittsburgh with just 40. Then he had back-to-back 52 pass attempt games against the Falcons and the Chiefs. Had 42 pass attempts against the Packers, and then he missed it on the first 2 weeks of the year. So if you take all that into consideration, he has gotten you at least 42 pass attempts in 11 of his last 13 games, with a bunch over 50. So in what should be a game that's super meaningful, it's going to be one where Brady's going to get a lot more short passes out to Godwin, to Fournette, those guys, and see no problem with him not hitting this. The second one, we're going on the other side, and we are taking the under 28 pass attempts on Sam Darnold. The reason that the Carolina Panthers have had a ton of success, even with trading McCaffrey midway through the year, even with firing their coach, Matt Rule, has been running the football. They're letting their 2 running backs that took over in place of McCaffrey, Chuba Hubbard and Foreman, both have been doing really well recently. Foreman has had a couple of bigger games than Hubbard, but Hubbard last week, he had 12 carries for 125 yards. Deonta Foreman last week had 21 carries, he had 33 rushes. They're not really looking to pass a ton unless they have to. The Bucks' rush defense has been worse than their pass defense this year. I know they're known to be very good against rush, but they're the 4th best team in terms of passing yards allowed, and they're 17th against the rush. So expect the Panthers just to kind of go with the game plan that's been working. In all 4 starts Darnold has made this year, hasn't even gotten you over 24 pass attempts, so not sure why it's all the way up to 28. Even in a great matchup last week, they were still run against Detroit. So those are 2 props to get us started. Now we're going over to the receiving yards prop. This one we are taking the over. We're going to New York. Might as well just type it in here. Looking at Garrett Wilson, taking his over 66.5 receiving yards. It is a matchup against the Seahawks, who've been struggling a little bit as of late. The Jets finally are going back to Mike White after he was banged up with a rib injury. Zach Wilson looks like he doesn't belong in the league. So Wilson obviously missed it last week, even though it was a good matchup against the Jags, because just how terrible his quarterback played and has played in all of his starts this year. Now he gets back to White, who's had some good games with Wilson in the game against Buffalo. That was a game where Mike White started and he had 268 pass yards. 78 went to Wilson. Game before that, it was Mike White's start. And then against Chicago, another one where he almost had 100 yards with Mike White. So, it's a matchup against the Seahawks. It's on the road, but Seattle's still not the best. They're giving up the second to last in the league against the rush and 17th in the league against the pass. With the Jets, they're still looking to rely on Mike White's arm a little bit. They've let him throw 57 times in his 2 most recent starts. Wilson has been the biggest playmaker. He's going to get the targets, should get the yards, at least 67. So that's the third prop I wanted to share with you guys. We got 3 more. Next, we're jumping over to the fantasy prop. Fantasy score prop. There it is. We're going to Las Vegas, and we're taking the under. I don't think I've ever taken an under on this player, but we're taking the under 14 fantasy on Devonte Adams. Lots of reasons for this. The matchup is terrible. Tough matchup against the 49ers. They're benching Derek Carr for the last 2 games of the year. They're hoping to maybe trade him in the offseason to keep him healthy, but the Raiders are done. They're out of the playoffs. They've had some terrible losses in typical Raiders fashion this year. However, they're going to Jarrett Stidham, who's making his first start of the year. He's in his appearances in the NFL. He's a former 4th-round pick, I believe. However, he just has 2 touchdown passes, 4 interceptions. He's not thrown for a good completion percentage. The matchup is so tough against the 49ers. They're going to be after him all night. So, unless Devonte Adams gets into the end zone, which definitely it's a lot longer of a shot as it would have been if it was Derek Carr as a quarterback. So, unless he gets into the end zone, I feel like this one could be an easy under. We'll see. They might not even want to play Adams the whole game, just with them sitting Carr anyways and their season basically over. So you could see him maybe play less snaps than usual. So I feel pretty comfortable with the under on Devonte Adams, which never thought I'd say that. We are sticking with the fantasy score prop, and we're going to a team that was dead for this entire season for the most part. They've been struggling a lot. Finally had something to cheer about last week. We're taking the over 9 fantasy on Tyler Higbee. Baker Mayfield's come in and just absolutely rejuvenated the Rams offense. They were looking terrible even with Stafford earlier in this year with maybe it was the elbow, but he wasn't looking like himself. And then Wolford and all those guys, Perkins, all those guys that stepped in the quarterback position, they struggled. So led to a pretty terrible season for Higbee. However, he's able to bounce back last week where he had 2 touchdowns, almost had a third, was dropped inside the 3-yard line, was getting targeted early and often. The matchup here against the Chargers is a favorable one. A lot to like. This one could be a high-scoring game, especially after what the Rams showed you with Baker last week against Denver, who's supposed to be a good defense. So I definitely think that looking to maybe Higbee or maybe looking to you could look to Akers if you wanted to. He won last week against the Broncos. Mayfield was super efficient, 24 of 28, and Higbee had 9 catches in that game. So I'm definitely looking at his way. Definitely if he happens to get into the end zone again, it'll probably be an easy over. So that is 5 props, and I have one more for you guys. We're going back over to the receiving prop board, and we are going on the other side of the Rams game. We're taking a receiver here, and that receiver is Mike Williams. Over receiving yards. His number is at 56.5. It's pretty low for the fact that the Rams defense has had some holes this year. Ramsey, they have some big names back there, but Ramsey's been awful this year. If you look at his stats, he's been giving up so much yardage. He's been giving up a good amount of touchdowns as well. So going with a guy like Mike Williams, who's battled some injuries this year, but he's going to get the targets. Maybe not as much as Keenan Allen, maybe not as much as Eckler, but he should be getting 6+, maybe even close to 10 if he's having a really big game. And if you look at the quarterback props here, if we look at just the game props in general, Justin Herbert on Prizepicks, he's projected for his over/under is the highest out of any quarterbacks. It's at 285. He should be able to move the ball at will against the Rams defense, and if Herbert throws for 300 yards, or at least hits the over at 286, and I feel pretty good that Williams will be able to get you close to at least 57, if not well over 60. He's had some 100-yard performances this year as well. So that's what I got for you guys. Prizepicks Week 17, more 41.5 pass attempts. Tom Brady less 28 pass attempts for Sam Darnold. Over 66.5 receiving yards. Garrett Wilson under 14 fantasy. Devonte Adams, and then taking 2 overs on Tyler Higbee's 9 fantasy and Mike Williams' 56.5 fantasy. That's what I got. Best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions or other props you want mine or other people's thoughts on. You can leave them in the comment section. And Happy New Year. Forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, it's the first day. If you're watching this on Sunday of 2023, let's make it a great year. Make it a great day. Make some money. Catch you all next time.